welcome back to the Building Your Brand podcast. And something that I want to share with you today is a bit of a mission that I have recently found myself on, or I think I've been on it for a long time, but I feel like it's come to the surface recently and I feel a lot more clarity about it in the last year, having had various conversations about it. I have always really struggled with the design industry. I think for the first 10 years of my career, I just didn't really feel like I belonged. It felt like a boys' club. There was sort of lots of men aggressively going for the opportunities that they wanted, being very critical and judgmental about others and the way they do things. And I'm not saying women weren't critical and judgmental as well, they absolutely were. But at the time when I started as a designer, there were a lot more men in the industry than women. I experienced quite a lot of sexism, so people dismissing my designs because they were made by a woman. Lots of kind of unfortunate things like that happened early on in my career, and I think just made me retreat and not want to be part of the industry. And so I found a job that I really liked in-house, and I kind of just tucked myself away and, just got on with it, did good work, but, didn't really consider building, I guess, what we would now call a personal brand. No one was calling it that back then. I mean, people were doing it back then, but they weren't calling it that. So I just kind of hid away and I just got on with my job, did my 9 to 5, didn't really have any major aspirations as to anything else I wanted to do. If I saw people doing cool things, like that just felt out of reach for me and not something that was for me. And then what happened was I had kids, I decided to go all in on running my own business, and I suddenly became very ambitious. And I guess I realized that I didn't have a ceiling anymore. My career wasn't dependent on maybe like a manager noticing what I was doing or giving me a promotion, or maybe someone quitting their job and me filling that spot or applying for that spot. So suddenly it felt like the world was my oyster and I could kind of really consider how I wanted to build my business and my career and how I wanted to present myself to the world. So at this point, I would have been about 34, I think. Yeah, around 34. So kind of like, not on the older end, but I had a decent bunch of experience behind me at that starting point. And I think as I've got older, so I turned 40 last year, I became more and more aware that older women in the industry just were not as visible. Like I wasn't seeing them. There were a few really established and well-known older designers, and I really looked up to them. I mean, I still do. I really look up to them and admire them, but I just wanted to see more of them. And last year, I got the opportunity to speak at Max London, and I think probably my talk was a little bit different from what people were used to seeing on stage. Like it was very personal. I told a personal story, shared some of my work. And I remember coming off stage and this really young woman coming up to me and basically saying, "Thank you so much, for your session. I have found the design industry really intimidating and you just made it feel really differently, very, what's the right word? Accessible, that they could do this, that they could be part of it." And honestly, that feedback and that comment really stirred something in me. And over the last year, I've had conversations with different people and I've realized that I want to be a visible middle-aged woman in design to show that we are out there and that it is possible. And I remember having a really good chat with CJ Corley, and he was like, "This is your mission, this is something that is really important to you. You need to lean into that and you need to do it." And, relatability has always been really important to me. I think, especially on social media, we see a lot of very curated aesthetic content, and it does really well because it's beautiful and it's aspirational, but it's not always realistic and it doesn't always feel achievable. And so I guess I want to show something that's a bit more honest. Like, this is one of the reasons that I really like these solo podcast episodes, because I feel like I can sort of share a bit more honestly behind the scenes, like what's actually going on. I mean, I'm obviously selective about what I share, but I try to share honestly, share bravely, maybe share things that other people might not, because I think there's something really powerful about hearing someone speak and having that feeling of, oh, what a relief. It's not just me. Okay, Liz is going through this as well. And so it's okay that I'm going through it. So I think that is something that really motivates me in my career and in my business. And like I say, I want to be a visible woman in design so that people can see that that is possible, that designers don't just disappear after 40. Yes, maybe, the world is a little bit less interested in them, but they're still out there, they're doing cool things. I mean, I am turning 41 this year. This past year and this year of 2026 has been like a mega high in my career. Like the things that I've got to do, if you had asked me when I started this, like my own business in this current state, like 6 years ago, I never would have believed you. I don't think that these opportunities would be available to me. And I've worked hard for them, don't get me wrong. Like they haven't just fallen in my lap. But I don't think I've ever been that good at having these like really big, grand dreams. And I think, like I said, because of my experience early on in the design industry, like I didn't feel like those opportunities were for me. I didn't feel like they were available to me. And so, yeah, it feels exciting and it feels special to make this my mission. And I have like a few different missions in my business. And, designers, young designers aren't my target audience in terms of clients. But I feel like having this podcast, sharing about my business, sharing my work, which I don't do often enough, but I need to try and do more, and, sharing the opportunities that I'm getting to speak on stages, to share my story, to share what I'm learning. I really hope that that helps other people and feels that it's achievable and available to them. And, like it's something that they can also do. So that is my mission. I thought it would be fun to share it with you here. I would love to hear what you think. Do you think I'm achieving that mission? Is there anything else that you think I could be doing to achieve that mission? If you are a younger woman in design, I would especially love to hear from you. Like, do you feel encouraged and helped when you see older women in design who are visible, who are still doing the work, who are still showing up, who are running their own businesses? What do you need to see to be encouraged about your path as a designer, as a young woman? And I'm really grateful for the men who have championed me and given me opportunities and, allowed me to share my voice and my story. Like that has really meant a lot to me. So yeah, that is my mission, one of my missions I'm working on. So come let me know what you think. I would love to hear from you. I am on Instagram at Liz M. Mosley or at Building Your Brand Podcast. And I want to hear what your mission is. If you have something that you feel really passionately about and, a group of people that you want to show up for to encourage and inspire, I would love to hear about that. And I would love to cheer you on as well.